Hi friends, welcome back to our channel. I'm Luke.
And I'm Dan.
And this video we're going to talk about how to prune some zucchini. So, who ever heard of pruning zucchini?
Kind of weird, huh?
Yeah, I thought they grew like crazy and like you're trying to do everything you can do to stop them because they're taking over everything, but nope, I was wrong. There's a reason you're trellising them a little bit.
Yeah. We got some zucchini, and there's crickneck and some more zucchini. This is yellow with a green tip on it.
Uh-huh.
And you can see how big these plants are, and I've already pruned this one quite a bit. And so I like to keep the bottom leaves off the ground as much as I can. Plus it kind of helps. I got this lettuce growing under here and gives them a little shade in this heat.
Yep.
So it's doing two things at once. It's giving a shade for the lettuce, and it's also keeping the airflow and not on the base of the plant. Plus it's not giving the critters a place to come in and hide and attack the plant.
By keeping the leaves pruned up off the ground.
Keeping them up off, because otherwise they'd be sitting clear down here like, like this, just on the ground.
Right. So
I've cut most of the ones off that I want to cut off. There's maybe some of those down there will show you how to cut it off.
Okay.
And then I grow them up these poles here because otherwise they just get to be a huge jumbled up mess, and I don't like untidiness. So you have to kind of look at this to see how this system, how the main system grows. You get the main stem coming up here, and you've got a leaf coming out right here, and there's going to be another vine coming up, shooting off the side of this thing, and I don't want that vine shooting off of that, so I got to let that grow a little bit more before I terminate it. And this one here is your main growth point right here, and so I can't do anything with that quite yet. It's a little too early to do anything with that. Maybe we'll find one. We can look at another plant, see if we can find one that's shooting off the side vine, and we can get rid of it. This one here, I don't need this one here, this leaf here. There's two leaves here, and we can just cut that one, snip that one off of there. We don't need all.
And that's a fruit there right above it.
Yes. That right there is a little female.
Yeah.
And this is a male flower right here.
How do you tell the difference for people to know?
See, this has a fruit here.
Right.
And this one doesn't. This is just a stem.
Right.
So that's the male.
So like that one above it, over there, a little bit farther, that would be a male?
This is the male, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because the females, when they start growing, you can, at the very beginning, there. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, see a little tiny thing. Little tiny female there.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a bigger male right here, so it's ready to open up shortly. Tomorrow it'll open that up,
and then you'll use that.
I'll use that to pollinate whatever's open.
Okay.
This one's pollinated this morning, so that's.
Now, if you don't pollinate that, I mean, it already has a fruit there, but what's the point of pollinating? It makes it get bigger. The fruit will just die off, or what?
Yeah, if you don't, I mean, if nothing pollinates it, it'll just shrivel up and die. I'll show you.
So even though it's already that big.
Oh yeah. It'll just shrivel up and be rotten.
Oh, okay.
And so, but you know, if you got enough bees or just any kind of bugs that get in there and transfer pollen, it'll pollinate it. So I just do it just kind of like an insurance policy to make sure it all gets pollinated.
Okay.
And not depend on the bees only.
Right.
Let's see if we go down to another plant that may have something that we can prune off, so you can understand what I'm doing. Here's something you can see a little bit. This one wasn't pollinated. You can tell that you can see it's just kind of big here, and then it gets down smaller towards the tip.
Oh, let's see if we get it from the top here. It's kind of hard to see if I'm only at one end.
So it's kind of swelled in the middle. It's kind of gone big here, and it's tapered down instead of getting bigger. Over here.
So that's evidence of non-pollination.
Yeah. So this one's stays thick and kind of a bulbous end on it.
Yeah.
And that one's.
That one's been pollinated.
Yeah, that one's good.
That one's good.
And here's another example of one that's not pollinated. This is right here.
Oh, so that's really obvious.
So that'll just rot and be a no good mess.
Oh.
So it's good just to.
You just take it off now?
Yeah, just take it off. And you can actually eat that.
There's
nothing wrong with that. I'm going to take it in and we'll eat it.
Yeah.
For young squash. So, yeah, so just, you can, always the ends are misshapen and they're kind of shriveled up when they're not pollinated.
Uh-huh.
I'm still trying to see if I can find a place where we can prune something and keep it into a vertical vine.
Did you look at this one yet?
I did most of them this morning. Unfortunately, wasn't planning on doing this video. Here's one.
Okay.
Over here, right here. Not this. This is the male blossom right here. But these leaves right here, right next to that female.
Yeah.
These leaves right there.
Yep.
That's going to be another vine.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is
really premature, but
yeah, premature. But you want to just get in there and
get them off with their
Pinch 'em.
pinch them without. Don't pull them. You'll probably pull the whole thing
yeah,
off.
you break the whole thing. It's very tender. That's too early to do it.
But-
Just to show you what you're looking for,
Uh-huh.
there'll be a branch, some leaves right there coming up, and that'll send out a whole nother main vine.
Uh-huh.
And instead of, because you want to just keep one main vine going up this pole. You
Yep.
don't want all these things going off the sides. And as soon as this opens up a little more on the top here, we'll be able to see more what needs to be done. But this is all just kind of, you don't want to mess
Pretty
with
tight
it.
right now.
Right now. You don't want to mess with it. Now this leaf down here is kind of getting kind of bothersome. I'm just
Bothersome as in.
yeah, it's going to be around the ground here shortly.
Yep.
And so I'm just going to cut that. I cut it right near the trunk of so it doesn't leave a hollow spot for the bugs to attack.
Oh, I see.
Hide in.
Right near the trunk of
Yeah.
the other vine. Yeah, before it turns hollow.
Yeah.
So can you just cut this leaf thing farther down? Like if you didn't cut it that close, can you chop that right there and just show us, like for people to see? Yeah. You can see definitely what you're talking about.
So it's thick there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes
Yeah.
sense. So it's plugged off and it can heal off better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and then as a plant grows up, these things, the stems aren't real sturdy, and so like if you get up this high and you've got it strapped up here,
Yep.
and you don't have it really good strapped all the way down with several straps,
Mm-hmm.
it'll just kind of sink down and make a big S, kind of big loop in the vine.
It's like a lower and lean system.
Yeah, and it's not very good. So that's why I got these holes, drilling these stakes
Yeah.
here, so I can actually put a twine through there and keep it upright. So then just slide down the pole, because these green tapes, there's nothing. They're just around the pole. They're not through a hole or anything.
Yeah, the green.
The green stretchy tape.
Yep.
And so if I put a twine through here, maybe a little, like a thin rope through there, so it's not too cutting on the vine.
Uh-huh.
And that'll keep the plant upright, so then just slide down the
Or you could
pole.
try to stuff the tape through the hole too, huh?
Yeah, you could make a bigger hole. It'd be a pain to get that wide tape through that
Right.
hole right there. So yeah, that's let's see,
How tall do you think these, or are you going to just terminate it once they get up to a certain height?
I probably will. I think the squash bugs would probably show up before then and terminate them themselves.
Yeah, but can you tell about how you put the nematodes or whatever, you treated this?
Yeah, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, to be honest, but I treated the whole garden with 3 different species of nematodes last fall.
Uh-huh.
I think I put on 150 million nematodes on the garden in the greenhouse.
Took a little while to count all those, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I ran out of fingers and toes. So you just put them. They come in a little tiny package, and you put them in your sprayer. I just use like a hose end sprayer, like you can get at the big box store, like an Ortho or whatever brand, and you dump a certain amount in, and you fill the thing up with water, and just put it in your hose and just hose down the garden, and you're spraying these nematodes everywhere. And you can put them in a pump. The pump impellers don't hurt the nematodes. It can go through an impeller, it can go through a jet nozzle or whatever, and it doesn't kill the nematodes. So I just sprayed it over the whole garden just to see, because they were running a sale on them. I thought, well, I'm going to try it just to see if it does any good. And so far, we haven't seen a single a squash bug anywhere. And in the greenhouse, I haven't even had a single aphid that I know of. And that's really unusual, because we always have lots of aphids and whiteflies in the greenhouse.
So, like,
So,
have you ever had a year where you haven't had aphids and whiteflies?
no.
Okay, so that is the determining thing. I mean, that's what made the difference.
It's really made a difference. We don't.
You didn't do anything really
unless it
any
was
other
the winter
dramatic
weather,
thing.
you know, some
Yeah.
freak thing with the winter weather. But yeah, we've never had it this way before. So I don't know if that took care of the squash bugs. If it did, I can guarantee you I'll buy some more nematodes this fall and put them on again.
Yeah.
So it's been great not having them.
So do the nematodes need a host plant, or can they just feed off of other
They
organisms?
just go in the ground, and you've
Yep.
got to keep the ground wet for a certain amount of time for them to get into the dirt,
Okay.
and then they find their larvae of these overwintering or these soil-dwelling bugs, and they somehow kill them.
So don't nematodes take care of fungus gnats as well?
Yeah.
Yep. So
if you're doing like an indoor grow,
Yep.
Like your lettuce or whatever,
Yep.
you can put that in there and wipe out your fungus gnats.
no more fungus gnats.
And another thing that's unusual, we haven't had a single potato beetle this year, not a one. And
Yeah,
usually
that is strange.
We usually always have some. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Try it again next year.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably just to see if it repeats.
See if it worked.
Yeah.
Because if it is, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks for showing how to trellis and prune zucchini and crookneck and that kind of thing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys find that useful, hey, leave us a comment down in the section below. Or if you have other tips and tricks on how to prune or trellis zucchini or what you do, hey, we'd like to know. And other people probably too. So, yeah, we read your comments down there. If you have any questions, write them down there, and we'll try to answer them when we get a minute. If you're not a subscriber of our channel, please subscribe. That helps us to stand out and for our videos to be shown to more people. If you want, become a channel member. There's perks that are available at different levels, and you can get early access to member-only videos and that kind of thing. So check those out. Also, you can go to Patreon. There's other perks there. You can get some plans that are available, some of our top levels on Patreon and on the YouTube membership as well. If you haven't yet, please visit our store at SutherlandOrganiX.com. What's that our store, Dad?
A lot of soil amendments. Just about everything we use here in the garden, growing giant tomatoes and giant vegetables and other vegetables, it's there. And be happy to ship it to you.
Yeah, and if you're having trouble starting your plants in the spring, or if you're doing indoor grows, that kind of thing, we have our custom and well-tested starting mix that's been getting really good reviews. It's pretty amazing stuff, so check it out. That's on our store at SutherlandOrganiX.com as well. We also have potting mix as well, and those have all been tested and formulated for the best performance. And so we know it's not the cheapest thing, but I'll tell you one thing. The other day, my boy brought 3 pea vines inside from the garden. One of them was about 4 feet long or so, maybe a hair less. Nice thick vine, and this is kind of at the end of the season. And then he bought another one that was about a foot shorter, and then another one that was only about 2 feet long, and it was kind of tiny and a little bit yellowed. And he said, "Hey Dad, check this out." The longest one had the most peas on it too. Was one that was started in our Sutherland OrganiX starting mix. And then the next one down, I think, was Whitney Farms, and then the shortest one was Burpee. So other than that, other than the difference of what they were started in, that was the only thing that determined how big they grew finally, because they all got planted the same bed. They got watered the same. They're all growing right next to each other. So that was pretty revealing to me. It's a big deal how you actually start your plants. If you start them off in a good mix, it can make a huge difference in the final output of the plant. So I thought that was pretty impressive how important your starting mix is. So if you haven't yet, yeah, check it out. It works good, I'll tell you that. I use it in my hydroponics as well, doing indoor organic hydroponics. Just put a little tiny button of it on the top of my growing medium, throw my little lettuce or my tomato seed in there, and it just germinates like a rocket, and off it goes. So you can use it for that as well. Before we go, I want to leave you with one verse from Scripture. Jesus said, "I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved."